You know, when I come here and visit, it's always sad, but a little bit happy. Because I'm looking at graves and I see names of people I know, my family, my friends. And I have memories, and I'm thinking about those memories, and I see their faces. And when I look at their faces and I think about it, I can't believe I'm not buried here. It's 1950 for crying out loud. I'm 88 years old. I was born during the Civil War. It was a long time ago. The Civil War, think about that. I'm sorry, I'm Joseph Hubert. And my wife, Rosina, she's buried right over there. She was my first wife. My second wife, Mary, she's buried right over here. And my father, John, and his wife, his second wife, my stepmother, John is buried over there with Lizzie. All right here in this area. And I just count my blessings that I'm able to come over here and visit them and look at that church. My dad got here just in time to help finish that church up in 1889. Planted a few trees over there. So I come over here and count my blessings, and those blessings started with my father, John Hubert, who's buried right over here. You know, he was born in Germany in 1838. He was 17 years old when he boarded a ship to come to this country with his parents. He got here in 1884 in Philadelphia. So he got here with his parents, and my father went to Iowa. He spent a lot of years in Iowa. Kind of grew up in Iowa. He met my mother there in 1860. You look like a student of American history to me, so you know 1859, that's when Billy the Kid was born. So when they got married in 1860, that tells you how far back that was. That was a long time ago. But they were only married 20 years, sadly. My mother died of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis was a disease that was going around in the 1880s. Doc Holliday died of it 7 years later in 1887, right? So when my mother passed in 1880, she died of a disease that was common in this country. And when she passed away, there were 9 of us kids. I was older. I was about 17 years old at the time. But there was Joseph and Theodore and Nicholas and Hannah and Elizabeth and Mary and Francis and Pauline and John. And it was hard on my father. He was a farmer. Am I dressed like a farmer? No. But I tell you why I'm dressed this way. Respect. When I go to that church, I dress this way. When I visit the cemetery, I dress this way. Truth be known, if I'm putting a lot of money out to hire a photographer to go to my farm, maybe take a picture of the thrashing machine, I might be dressed this way. Okay. I am thankful that I have the blessings to afford this suit. But after my mother passed, it was part of my father, and even though he was doing okay, you know, he married Lizzie after that. She had 3 sons, Nick, Anna, and Mary, so there were 12 in the family. He was doing okay, but it wasn't great in Iowa, and his parents, who should be retired at that point in time, guess what? They decided they're picking up and moving. They're going to Kansas. They heard about the railroad being built into the Great Prairie. You could take the train to the end of the line and have prairie land that had never been farmed. It sounded too good to be true. It actually was a little too good to be true because it wasn't that easy. But Gwendolyn and Agnes, they went. My father didn't know what to do. He was thinking about going. A lot of the family went. As I said, I was a little older, but he decided in 1888 he's coming here. And he's bringing the little one and his new wife. And they're coming to Sublimity, Oregon, of all places. Sublimity, Oregon, imagine that. He's decided to come here. I'm older. I got my eye on Rosina. I stayed in Kansas, and I didn't come. At least not at that point, but then Dad came out here. Why do you think he came? Father Peter Stempel. Father Peter, crusty old German priest born in Germany, he went to Iowa, and he's telling, he's knowing people there, and then he goes to Minnesota and Wisconsin. He gets here at the end of the Oregon Trail in the 1870s, and Father Peter Stempel is telling German immigrants all across this country, keep coming west, it just gets better. The Willamette Valley is the place to be. It is abundant farmland here. This is where you should be. A lot of people listened to that. John Ditter did. John Ditter's store's right over here. It was built in 1885, and John Ditter does the same thing. He's telling people like my family, you should come here. I've got everything you need in my store. I'll help you with the land agents. They speak English, you speak German. I'll keep you from getting cheated. Take the northern train route all the way to Portland and come down the Willamette Valley. But don't be changing trains trying to get closer by going to Shaw or Almsville. You'll just lose your trunks and lose your luggage and your belongings. Stay on the main line all the way to Turner, Oregon. You get to Turner and take the stagecoach over. I can tell you're a wise woman. You've been on that stage, haven't you? Take the stagecoach over. That's what you do. You come here with all your belongings. So right here, Dad did and I did in 1891. I married Rosie. Rosina, we got here in 1894. We got a farm right outside of town, right next to Dad, a mile or two, depending on how straight you can ride your horse. You ride a horse straight? If you do, it's only a mile. If not, it's 2 miles, okay? Just right out that way. And it's a wonderful place. What do you think we start raising? Children. And then corn, hops, grain. You should see the threshing machine. It pulled by horses. It worked on our farms out there, the Huberger farm. But hops, that was the crop to do. We had a hop barn that was the envy of the community. We got it built. It was called the hop house around here. The only challenge we had was getting the hops to market. You load a wagon full of hops and put a good team of horses on it, set out at dawn, you're lucky if you get home at dark, because the roads were that bad. So the hop house became well known in these parts for meetings about the roads. Marion County Road District 24 met in my hop house on a regular basis. And if you don't remember that, go back and check your newspapers. 1913, 1915, 1919. Public advertisements. Come to the Huberger Hop House. We'll talk about the roads. Talk about taxes. We don't like them, but we got to get our crops to market. That's what we got to do. And eventually we got a little money as farmers. I made $4 in 1 month. Paid to me by the county. Can you believe that? It sounds outrageous, but they're giving it to me. I'm working for it. I'm grading the roads out here and putting a little gravel on it and getting them in. But 1913 was not a good year for me. I told you we raised a lot of children, and unfortunately, Rosina, my love of my life, passed away January 1st of 1913. By that time, we had a lot of children. We had Joseph and Theodore and Nicholas and Hannah and Pauline and Francis and Mary and Elizabeth and John. And after giving birth to our 11th child, Lawrence, that didn't go well for Rosina. She passed away in January of 1913. It was hard. There weren't any crops in the field, but I wouldn't have made it without the help of my family and the nuns in the convent and the priest, and we made it. We made it through a tough time. I met Mary Grease, and she was a widow, and she had some children from her first marriage, but we married, and it worked out. We were able to get through the tough times, and I thank my blessings. I offer my blessings for that. It was really tough. We moved into town here, Mary and I did, and I became custodian over here at the church, and it was wonderful to give back to the community. I'd ring the bells at 6 p.m. every night for prayer time, and prayers were a great comfort to me because Mary passed away last year in October of 1949, so just me right now in prayers. But speaking of prayers, did I tell you about my sisters? I have 3 sisters that joined the convent, 3 nuns. Frances and Mary and Elizabeth, they joined the convent here. My stepsister, Anna, she joined the convent. Are you counting? 4. That's 4 nuns in my family, okay? Then my daughter, Elizabeth, joined. Sister Germaine, that's 5 nuns. 5 Huberger nuns right here from this community joined the Sisters of St. Mary. And one of them, my sister Frances became, Sister Teresa became Mother Superior in 1901. She was a visionary. She was young for a Mother Superior, but she made a decision and she mandated that all the nuns start speaking English because they only spoke in German. They were German Catholic nuns. They taught in the school in the German language all day long. She said, enough. We're going to start learning English, and we're doing it now. So they taught in German in the morning, and they taught in English all afternoon. The kids went home talking English to their parents. They didn't know what they were saying, but they figured it out. Eventually, parents began to learn English, and it was very timely because World War I came along, and there was a lot of anti-German hysteria. And the German nuns were speaking English. The German kids had grown up, they were adolescents, some were even eligible for draft. They could speak English. Do I talk with a heavy German accent? No. You get 5 nuns chasing you, telling you to speak good English, and one is a Mother Superior, and you learn your English. I did. So I say the crops in the field may change, the seasons turn, but the Huberger roots are deep in this community. You come back 75 years from now, I bet you'll find Hubergers here. They're that deep. My father found the peace and abundance he was looking for here in this community. And I say my prayers and thanks for that, and I think I better go do that right now. Let you folks go on your way. Thank you for spending your time.
All right, next up.